An important mechanism underlying self-development is self-awareness, insightfully processing feedback about oneself to improve one's effectiveness. Part of self-awareness is being able to understand how you're perceived by others. If others perceive the leader in the same way, the leader has good self-awareness. In contrast, if most subordinates perceive the leader as unexcited about attaining group goals, the leader's self-awareness is low. The terms single loop learning and double loop learning differentiate between levels of self-awareness. Single loop learning occurs when learners seek minimum feedback that might substantially conflict their basic ideas or actions. Double loop learning is an in-depth type of learning that occurs when people use feedback to confront the validity of their goal or the values implicit in the situation. An important contribution of double loop learning is that it enables the leader to learn and profit from setbacks. A fruitful area of self awareness is for leaders to recognize their standing on two key dimensions of leadership: forceful versus enabling leadership, and strategy versus operational. The leader should not spend so much time strategizing that operations become neglected, or so much time focusing on operations that strategy becomes neglected. The process of self-awareness on those two dimensions is much like volume control. Raise or lower the volume to get the best result. Self-awareness can also be helpful in understanding how close an individual is to his or her concept of the ideal leader. As with other types of personal development, leadership development requires considerable self-discipline. In the present context, self-discipline is mobilizing one's effort and energy to stay focused on attaining an important goal. A key component of being a self-disciplined leader is to set goals for development, such as I'm going to think more strategically about my work. Self-discipline is required for most forms of leadership development. Assume, for example, that a leader is convinced that active listening is an important leadership behavior. The leader reads about active listening and attends a workshop. After the reading and the workshop are completed, the leader will need to concentrate diligently in order to remember to listen actively. Self-discipline is particularly necessary because pressures of everyday activities often divert a person's attention from personal development. Self-discipline plays an important role in continuous monitoring of one's behavior to ensure the needed self-development occurs. After one identifies a developmental need, it's necessary to periodically review whether one is making the necessary improvements. A key part of making self-awareness and self-discipline vehicles for personal development is to have a healthy belief in personal growth. Education generally refers to acquiring knowledge without concern about its immediate application. If a potential leader studies mathematics, the logic reasoning acquired might someday help him or her to solve a complex problem facing an organization. As a result, the leader's stature is enhanced. Reading biographies and autobiographies about successful people is a good source of ideas about leadership. Formal education is positively correlated with achieving managerial and leadership positions. Furthermore, there's a positive relationship between the amount of formal education and the level of leadership position attained. Another key contribution of formal education to leadership development is that it enhances a person's learning ability, the ability to learn. The link between learning agility and leadership is that leaders are required to learn regularly. The correlation between education and leadership status, however, may not reflect causation. Many people get the opportunity to hold a business leadership position only if they've achieved a specified level of education. A more important issue than the statistical association between leadership and education is how education contributes to leadership effectiveness. Most high-level leaders are intelligent, informed people who gather knowledge throughout their career. The knowledge that accrues from formal education and from self-study provides them with information for innovative problem-solving. Being intellectually alert also helps them exert influence through logical persuasion. On-the-job experience is an obvious contributor to leadership effectiveness. Without experience, knowledge cannot readily be converted into skills. The best experiences for leadership development are those that realistically challenge the manager, including dealing with stressful problems. A recommended approach to developing as a leader is to step outside your comfort zone and gain novel experiences. Novel experiences that are complex are even more important to development. Creating an environment for development requires that an organization seeks to provide meaningful development opportunities, not to push managers to the point where they're most likely to fail. Failure is a special type of challenging experience that contributes enormously to reaching one's leadership potential. One reason is that people who have never failed have avoided taking big risks. An important part of capitalizing on challenging experiences is for the leader or manager to be given leeway in choosing how to resolve the problem. Challenging experiences are the most likely to result in leadership development when the leader receives some coaching and guidance about the lessons to be derived from these experiences. Two major developmental factors in any work situation are work associates and the task itself. Work associates can help a person develop in a myriad of ways. An immediate supervisor can be a positive or negative model of effective leadership. Many aspects of leadership are situational. A sound approach to improving leadership effectiveness is therefore to gain managerial experience in different settings. A mentor is a more experienced person who develops a protege's ability through tutoring, coaching, guidance, and emotional support. Mentoring is traditionally thought of as an informal relationship based on compatibility or spark between two personalities. A key aspect of informal mentoring is that the mentor and the protege identify with each other. Identification includes the thought that the protege views the mentor as a model of someone he or she wants to be in the future. All mentoring does not take place in the context of a spontaneous relationship between two people. Employers often formally assign a mentor to a new employee to help him or her adjust well to the organization and to succeed. Mentoring is also widely accepted as a valuable approach to development for most large organizations that have a formal mentoring program. Another approach to mentoring is shadowing or directly observing the work activities of the mentor by following the person around for a stated period of time. Online or virtual mentoring is popular because sending email messages and social media posts helps overcome barriers created by geography, limited time, and voicemail. Because many mentors are leaders, effective mentors are likely to engage in many of the behaviors of effective leaders. Mentors enhance the career of proteges in many ways, such as by recommending them for promotion and helping them establish valuable contacts. High-level leaders sometimes use mentors as a way of obtaining useful feedback. Coaching can be a component of mentoring. Mentors demonstrating a high level of involvement tend to coach apprentices on how they handle certain leadership assignments. Having a backup mentor is important because mentoring relationships are often fragile and problems can occur. A time honored strategy for developing prospective, new, and practicing leaders is to enroll them in leadership development programs. Many management development programs are also aimed at leadership development. However, management development programs cover hundreds of topics within the functions of planning, organizing, controlling, and leading. No matter what business a company is in, the real business is building leaders. Without a cadre of effective current and future leaders, an organization would lose its competitive advantage. Part of the reason is that leaders are either responsible for providing innovative ideas or for creating the conditions that foster innovation. Developing and training leaders is far more complex than merely sending aspirational leaders to a one-week seminar. The leadership development program has to be appropriately sponsored, carefully designed, and professionally executed. Although online learning supplements other forms of leadership development, face-to-face interaction with other leaders and course presenters will be most likely the popular choice. In practice, the various programs for developing leaders often overlap. For ease of comprehension, we divide these programs into 6 categories: feedback-intensive programs, those based on skills, conceptual knowledge and awareness, socialization, action learning, and coaching. A feedback-intensive development program helps leaders develop by seeing more clearly their patterns of behaviors, the reasons for such behaviors, and the impact of these behaviors and attitudes on their effectiveness. Skill training in leadership development involves acquiring abilities and techniques that can be converted into action. Acquiring knowledge precedes acquiring skills, but in skill-based training, the emphasis is on applying knowledge. 5 different methods are often used in skill-based leadership training: lecture, case study, role play, behavioral role modeling, and simulation. Because the first 3 methods are quite familiar, only the last 2 will be described here. Behavioral role modeling is an extension of the role playing based on social learning theory. You first observe a model of appropriate behavior, and then you role play the behavior to gather feedback. Simulations give participants the opportunity to work on a problem that simulates a real organization. In a typical simulation, participants receive a digital packet of information about a fictitious organization. Participants then play the roles of company leaders and devise solutions to the problems. During the debriefing, participants receive feedback on the content of their solutions and problems and methods that they used. A standard university approach to leadership development is to equip people with the conceptual understanding of leadership. The concepts are typically supplemented by experiential activities such as role playing and cases. From the company standpoint, an essential type of leadership development program emphasizes becoming socialized, becoming acclimated to the company, and accepting its vision and values. A directly practical approach to leadership development is for leaders and potential leaders to work together in groups to solve organizational problems outside their usual sphere of influence. Many organizations evaluate their leadership development programs to see if they're cost effective. In a well-managed organizations, replacement for executives who leave are chosen through leadership succession, the process of identifying and grooming people to replace managers. Succession planning is vital to long-term health of an organization, and therefore an important responsibility of senior leadership. Before a key person leaves, planning is done in an orderly way over time. Succession planning is linked to leadership development in 2 important ways. First, being groomed as a successor is part of a leadership development strategy. Second, the process of choosing and fostering a successor is part of a manager's own development. Here are some factors in terms of effective succession leadership planning: how the board chooses a new officer, the essential aspects of leadership succession, developing a pool of successors, promotion from within, and effective leadership development programs. Understanding these factors will lead to more success in new appointments to leadership positions. People participate in leadership development programs for 2 broad purposes. They are either preparing to become a leader for the first time or enhancing their leadership skills, knowledge, and behavior for a current position or advancement into more leadership responsibility. First-time leaders face some challenges as they adjust to their new role. Uncertainty about how much time to spend leading versus doing individual tasks. As a new leader, you'll have to work with your manager and perhaps your direct reports to find the right balance between doing and leading. Overcoming resentment. If you were selected from among a group of new leaders, you may have to deal with the resentment and envy of new direct reports who wanted your position. Building relationships and fostering teamwork quickly enough. As a new leader, a high priority is to build constructive relationships with subordinates as quickly as possible. Have realistic expectations about how much you can accomplish right away. The role of a leader is not like that of a house painter. You typically don't see sparkling results right away. Patience is necessary. Overcoming the need to be liked by everybody. By the nature of their roles, leaders make decisions that not everyone agrees with. The changes you bring about may hurt the feelings of some people and jeopardize their positions. Your role is to establish and implement goals that will result in the greatest good.